Hi there, welcome to Jamaica Magazine. I'm Adrian Atkinson. Coming up, the road to rebuilding the tourism industry. That and more between the pages. Stay with us.
Want to know the law pertaining to renting a house? What about the procedure if you're arrested? Or what is defined as corruption? Then click on the Ministry of Justice website. It has information on every law passed in Jamaica. The House of Parliament portal also has the more recent year's pieces of legislation. The sites are easy to search and the files are downloadable. Make access to justice your business. Know your rights. Good day, I'm Lorraine Mendez and this is your JIS News for Tuesday, June 29. Government is projected to save an estimated $54 million annually from the installation of solar and other energy efficiency systems. The equipment have been installed at 6 public health facilities across the island under a $1.25 million grant from the United Nations Development Program. The work, which began in 2016, was completed recently. It's expected to improve energy efficiency in the health sector while reducing the energy bill. At Thursday's closing out and handing over ceremony, Energy Minister Darrell Vaz said a 22% annual reduction in the health sector's bill was anticipated.
Government ministries and agencies must become models and leaders in energy conservation and environmental stewardship, as stipulated by Goal 6 of Jamaica's National Energy Policy.
We're looking at a win-win situation for stakeholders with the execution of energy efficiency and renewable energy measures and supply and installation of equipment that guarantees energy efficiency and renewable energy savings at our health facilities.
These achievements must be expanded so that sustainable universal access can be delivered to and for the benefits of all Jamaicans.
The proposed Agriculture Wardens program will be piloted shortly. Agriculture and Fisheries Minister Floyd Green says the program is expected to bolster government's measures to fight predial larceny. He says the agriculture wardens will have power of arrest.
What we want to do is get people who are on the ground, just like the district constable, but they are tasked with protecting agricultural produce. But they have the powers of a police officers. They're police officers so trained, but they come from in the area, so they keep watch.
7 additional predial larceny units have been added in police divisions with designated officers and detectives handling cases. Minister Green says resources have also been flowing into the units, including new vehicles to improve the mobility of the officers. He was speaking at the official opening of the Low Leighton Lennox production zones in Portland recently. Land leases were handed over to farmers in the zone. Minister of Housing and Urban Renewal Pernell Charles Jr. says the state will be targeting squatter landlords across the island. Squatter landlords are persons who develop settlements on lands they do not own. Minister Charles says the issue is of particular concern in St. Anne, where the squatter settlements are developed in protected forest areas.
They have the money, but they choose to manipulate, to circumvent the law, and to exploit poor people by going in, tearing down our forests, and selling off land that oftentimes is government land. We are confronting this directly by ensuring that we have the necessary enforcement to call out those squatter landlords and to let them know that there will be no more squatter landlords allowed in Jamaica.
Minister Charles was speaking recently at a My Tree legacy planting exercise at St. Catherine High School. Still on housing, over 300 persons have registered for the state's low-cost housing design competition. It was launched on May 7 and interested persons have until August 9 to register for the competition. The goal is to produce creative, original and resilient low-cost housing designs to accelerate the National Social Housing Program. Prime Minister Andrew Holness, who conceptualized the competition, says he's eager to see the designs that will be generated from participants.
What we want to get from the competition is a design unit that uses materials that are easily available, cost-effective materials, but materials that are also durable, that are suited for our environment, and materials that are easy to use in the construction process.
Submissions will be accepted from individuals and groups of up to 5 persons. The winning design will cop a first-place prize of $1 million. Second place is $500,000, while third-place prize winners will receive $250,000. In other news, the House of Representatives passed the Legal Aid Fees Validation and Indemnification Act 2021 last Tuesday. The bill seeks to validate the payments made to attorneys at law who provided legal aid services in the R versus Utrance Wilson and others trial, as well as the R versus Carlington Godfrey and others trial. As he piloted the bill, Justice Minister Delroy Chuck said the 34 defendants in both cases sought assistance for their defense under the Legal Aid Act. The trials, which took 25 months, saw 42 attorneys being assigned, costing the state over $65.8 million.
The trial could not commence as the Legal Aid Council was unable to assign attorneys at law willing to undertake the matter on behalf of the accused without a significant increase in the fees being offered, commensurate to the unprecedented level of work being undertaken. As a result, Madam Speaker, this situation threatened the defendant's right to a fair trial.
Minister Chuck says consultations were made with the council and attorneys at law, and it was determined that the best way forward was to vary the tariff of fees. After the matters went on for longer than expected, a decision was made to put a cap on the payments made to the attorneys. With the bill, the government is now able to validate the sums paid, which are outside of the Legal Aid Act. And finally, the Denham Town High School has received 350 desk shields to assist with the government's planned resumption of in-person classes in September. The shields were donated by the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers, IEEE Jamaica, Women in Engineering Affinity Group. At last Friday's handing over ceremony, Education Minister Favour Williams said the gift would provide an added layer of protection for students during face-to-face learning.
We have to get back into the face-to-face environment. Going forward, education will continue to be in the face-to-face world, even though technology will remain a permanent part of the education.
And that's it for JI's News Today. I'm Lorraine Mendez. Thanks for watching.
This is We're committed to reducing the impact of disasters occurring in Jamaica. We're ever ready to assist you before, during and after a disaster. But everybody have a role to play, so make we work together and follow the plan. Whether rich or poor or where you come from, hurricanes affect everyone, so be prepared. Prevention is better than cure. Be prepared. Listen to ADPEM.
A message from the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management.
Coming up, the latest happenings at the office of the Prime Minister.
July 1 implementation of revised COVID-19 protocols. Bernard Lodge development plan moving ahead smoothly, and more learning devices distributed. You're watching Jamaica House Weekly. I'm Vanessa Silvera.
As we move to the next phase of the management of the virus, we will have to be even more vigilant about observing the protocols and keeping ourselves and each other safe.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness in Parliament last Tuesday as he announced recrafted measures to contain the spread of COVID-19. For the period July 1 to August 11, curfew hours have been adjusted to start at 11 p.m. Mondays to Saturdays and 6 p.m. on Sundays. Amusement arcades are to reopen on July 1. The ban on funeral services has been lifted, but only 30 persons, including mourners and members of the clergy, will be allowed in attendance. Burial services will be allowed Mondays to Fridays during the hours of 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. with a maximum of 30 persons. Measures under the controlled re-entry program remain largely unchanged. So too the protocols regarding the opening of markets, gyms, parks, bars, beaches, rivers, zoos, water parks and attractions. The stay-at-home orders as well as the work-from-home orders in the public sector remain in effect. The existing orders governing places of worship and cinemas have been modified. These venues will now be allowed to host 70% of their maximum capacity. In the case of drive-in cinemas, vehicles should have no more than the number of persons it is registered to carry.
The recrafted measures that we have announced are to enable many persons who have not had an income for several months to finally get a chance to return to work and to start providing for their families. The risk of a third wave remains ever present. Whether or not it materializes is up to every one of us. In trying to preserve the entertainment sector, let us not jeopardize the reopening of our schools in September. The stakes are high, and this is a risk we are all taking together as a country. Success is up to all of us.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness urging persons to exercise caution as the island prepares to reopen the entertainment sector. The industry has been shuttered since March 2020 when the island recorded its first case of the novel coronavirus. In Parliament Tuesday, Mr. Holness said the phased reopening of the sector will begin on July 1. Promoters of large events with over 100 persons expected will be required to make an application to the Ministry of Culture. The ministry will review the application in consultation with OTPIM, the Ministry of Health and Wellness, the Municipal Corporation, the police and other relevant authorities. Persons staging small events with no more than 100 persons in total will benefit from a 50% reduction in permit costs from the municipal corporations. Prime Minister Holness announced that certain state-owned venues will be available rent-free for the staging of large entertainment events. Venues already approved for hosting are operated by the Ministry of Culture and the Port Authority of Jamaica. Prime Minister Holness says the Ministries of Culture, Economic Growth and Finance will also be exploring other stimuli to realize growth and development in the sector.
The entertainment, culture and creative industries must become an important item on our national agenda discussion.
On Wednesday, Prime Minister Andrew Holness tipped his hat to Olympian Veronica Campbell-Brown upon hearing of her retirement. Mr. Holness thanked Campbell-Brown for her invaluable contribution to track and field and for making an entire nation proud. The Prime Minister recalled her stunning and impressive races and saluted her athleticism and humanity. Upon hearing the death of Sergeant Marlon Smith, Prime Minister Holness recalled Smith as one of the kindest, most considerate and most genuine persons anyone could have the pleasure of meeting. Sergeant Smith was killed in a three-way motor vehicle collision in Trelawney on Thursday. Mr. Holness expressed deepest sympathies to Sergeant Smith's family, colleagues and friends.
I'm very pleased to see this project materializing in the way that we envisioned that it would. And it will be an example for other developments that are likely to happen within, I would say, a 5-year period.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness on Friday, following a tour of the integrated Greater Bernard Lodge development in St. Catherine. Mr. Holness says housing and agriculture are being equally prioritized in the development. The master plan will see the creation of an integrated community, with up to 16,000 housing solutions to be built, 1,300 acres of farmland reserved for small and medium-sized farmers, as well as light industrial and agricultural activities. The Greater Bernard Lodge Development Plan aims to create a sustainable, vibrant and resilient community that addresses challenges associated with affordable housing, transportation, access to jobs and services. And by Saturday, the Prime Minister was in West Central St. Andrew for free CSEC and CAPE super classes. The classes offered included math, English, Caribbean Studies and Communication Studies. Classes were held at Penwood High School, DuPont and Seawood Drive Infant and Primary Schools. Mr. Holness used his visit to the classes to distribute electronic learning devices to students. The devices were issued as part of the Prime Minister's Positive Jamaica Foundation. And that's it for Jamaica House Weekly. Be sure to join us next time for more of the stories coming out of the office of the Prime Minister.
Last year, we saw over 13,000 victims. However, I am conscious and I'm aware that there are many more. There are children, there are victims in our community that are struggling with the reality of crime and trauma. Some of them individually and directly, and some of them indirectly in the community which they live. I would like to challenge you who are listening, watching this program, to make an effort to call the VSD, the Victim Services Division in the Ministry of Justice. Encourage these children to get help. Encourage, cause us to know so we can reach out to them to get help. The numbers to call are 876-618-3620 or 876-946-2014. Healing and justice for all victims of crime is not just our concern, but it should be the concern of all of us.
The Tourism Ministry has implemented a number of measures to build back stronger. One of the priorities is to strengthen the linkages between tourism and the productive sectors. Take a look.
Unprecedented times call for unprecedented moves. With a $1.5 billion loss to the tourism industry, government has adopted an age-old business strategy to engineer a rebound of Jamaica's #1 foreign exchange earner.
The strategic framework for resetting Jamaica's tourism will be guided by the Blue Ocean Strategy, which will allow us to meet our growth targets of 5 million visitors, earning $5 billion, and to provide 5,000 new rooms by 2025.
Economists have for years touted the benefits of the Blue Ocean Strategy. This business model is about creating and capturing new demand in non-existent areas. It is establishing new markets to the point of changing the desires of consumer demand. This act can differentiate a player in an industry and eliminate the competition. This is the current strategy of Jamaica's Ministry of Tourism to reclaim and exceed what it has lost during the pandemic.
A Blue Ocean Strategy calls for the creation of business models that depart from the traditional models based on head-to-head competition and gaining market share. Instead, it will see our ministry pursuing enhanced value creation through production differentiation and diversification.
The Tourism Ministry is known for developing innovative responses to crises, which often garner global recognition. The Tourism COVID-19 Resilient Corridor Program, established in the height of the pandemic and allowed for controlled movement within tourism-dependent locations, received commendations from the UNWTO. The moniker Gen Z Traveler, coined by the ministry to describe vacationers whose experiences and expectations have been shaped by the health and safety risks of the pandemic, is being used by international stakeholders. The Tourism Ministry expects that its Blue Ocean Strategy will receive similar accolades and reap tremendous rewards for the island.
It will require a shift in the mindset as we seek to uncover hidden opportunities in the tourism industry amid the COVID-era economic crisis.
The implementation of the Tourism Blue Ocean Strategy consists of a 6-step plan: expanding markets and go-to-market channels, developing new tourism products, expanding tourism community focus, maximizing linkages across all local industries, promoting resilience and sustainability, and providing destination assurance.
This new strategy, the Blue Ocean Strategy we're talking about, is focusing now on how to build the capacity of the Jamaica economy to supply the goods and services that the industry needs, and in so doing reduce the outflow of dollars into other destinations.
Only 40 cents of every tourism dollar is retained in the country, while just 20% of tourism agricultural demand is supplied locally.
The study that we have done so far indicate that agriculture, just for fresh fruits and vegetables alone, has a demand of 67 billion Jamaican dollars. And on the manufacturing side, there is a demand already established for $360 billion.
To plug the gap, the Blue Ocean strategy will focus on expanding the work of the Tourism Linkages Network. Committees and working groups have been formed to work closely with resorts and hoteliers.
In this new Blue Ocean strategy, we are going to change the production and consumption patterns of tourism in favor of a heavier level of retention of the US dollar in the Jamaican space, and in the process create more jobs. This resetting of the industry is to broaden its scope and activities, to enable a wider breadth of employment opportunities, and also to expand the variety of skill sets that are attendant on tourism activities. It is to make the world and Jamaica understands better how a real tourism economy can in fact be structured, and why is it that tourism remains the most critical restoration action that any economy can embrace.
Practice good hygiene by washing your hands frequently using soap and water. Here's how you should do it while conserving water. Turn on the tap to wet your hands, then turn off the pipe. Lather your hands and the tap with soap. Turn on the tap and wash your hands, back, front, and in between fingers. Use some of the water to wash off the tap, then turn it off. Dry your hands with disposable hand towels. If you don't have running water, use a hand rub containing 62% or more alcohol. If hand sanitizers are not available, rubbing alcohol, Dettol, white rum, or household bleach will do the trick. And if all else fails, let hand washing and the handling of potable water be a two-person event. Each person will take turns pouring and washing hands with sitting water. Now is a good time to consider installing a tap on your containers to reduce the risk of water contamination. Faucets can be easily attached to drums, buckets, or 5-gallon water bottles. And to ensure that the outside of the containers are clean when recapping, disinfect it with hand rub containing alcohol that's 62% or more. The 5 R's of water conservation are also necessary to practice. Reduce water wastage by investing in water-saving devices. Reuse water at least twice before discarding. Replace leaking pipes, faucets, and other plumbing equipment. Recycle wastewater and use it for gardening, car washing, or cleaning of public spaces. And reclaim water through rainwater harvesting. We all must play our part to ensure there's water to combat the coronavirus and stave off prolonged drought.
I am here to highlight some of the COVID-19 protocols for the hurricane season. If we should have an adverse weather event, recognize that any one of those consequences of adverse weather events could be the trigger for that third wave. What we need to do for hurricane season, it's not novel. It's not novel. Bring it back to the fore and just remember that preparation is what we need to do, and more importantly, so just remind ourselves of what we need to do. And now focus on what we need to take into consideration for COVID-19. The fundamental concepts remain unchanged. Spacing, physical distancing, mask etiquette, and sanitization. It goes hand in hand in everything. We must incorporate the learned best practices that we would have had from last year. We went into a season last year with an ongoing pandemic. We would have done some things. We would have learned some things. Don't forget what you have learned. You best know how to respond in your own personal space. Personal responsibility, personal preparedness. You cannot go into a third wave. Because we need to respond, sometimes the fear and the anxiety can in fact cause us to do things and forget what those protocols are. I'm asking you and I'm charging you to remember what they are at all times. Exercise them every day so it becomes routine and normal. When you're nervous, sometimes what you fall back on is what you practice every day. So practice the COVID-19 protocols every day. If we need to respond, it will be well ironed out by the time it comes around.
Jamaica's COVID-19 vaccination plan is still in effect. If you wish to make an appointment, please do so online by visiting moh.gov.jm or by calling 888-663-5683. Vaccination still a keep. Go get your jab today.
You've reached the final page of the magazine. Thanks so much for being with us on today's journey. Another Jamaica Magazine unfolds tomorrow, so come back same time on this same station. Until then, go to our website, YouTube channel and social media pages for more informative features. While there, please subscribe to our pages and channels so you can stay in the know. I'm Adrian Atkinson, reminding you that we are in the hurricane season, so prepare before it's too late.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.